All right. Welcome back, my regular viewers, listeners, and watchers. And of course, if you happen to be here for the very first time, welcome. Before I go any further, my name is Rahul George, India's premier hypnosis coach and your personal guide. So today is a very, very special moment, a very, very special day. I've got a really important and a really special guest for you. So, welcome once again to the iHypnosis Coaching Journeys, our podcast that I've been curating now for a while, and we are now literally in our second episode. So, I wish you the very best for those of you who are watching this live. And of course, if you happen to be watching this later as a podcast, whether it's on YouTube or on YouTube, I think they now have a audio version as well on YouTube Music. So definitely do check it out and like, subscribe, and share this with other coaches because I can truly tell you this: we are on to something really important as digital coaches and healers. So having said all of that, what does all of that have to do with my special guest, Aparnaa Ganesh? You might already have noticed. So I met Aparna in 2022. This is around the October of 2022, and literally from the very first moment that we connected, I knew that I had found somebody, I had met somebody who, if you believe in soulful connections, I know that that very first meeting with Aparna was the start of many conversations, and so therefore it's no surprise that Aparna is here and literally in the second episode ever of the iHypnosis coaching journey. So welcome with that, Aparna. I have to literally like breathe right now just to like take in so much because we've been having many conversations way back since October of 2022, and of course we share some very powerful and I won't even call them common threads. They're like really powerful threads. And of course, we will go deeper into that in today's podcast. So I'm going to leave a little bit of that, what's it they say, intrigue for you who's watching this live. And of course, if you happen to be watching this later as a podcast. So with that, over to you, Aparna. And I'm all yours.
Hi, Rahul. Hi, everyone who is joining us live right now. I'm really thrilled to be here with Rahul for multiple reasons. Is it's his podcast. He started something which I think was long overdue, and I can see his podcast really empowering a lot of people. And Rahul and me do share, like he said, there is some crazy deep connection we've had right from the time we met, and our conversations generally go on from being very casual to being very empowering to being very bulb on moments, and it's been really beautiful. So thank you, Rahul, for calling me in for your podcast. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Yeah, you said something so powerful. Like we have these conversations, and I'm sure for those of you who are watching, especially if you're digital coaches, you know how easy it is for us to get busy, for us to get absorbed in what we do, and yet we when we do connect, we have conversations on so many different topics, whether it is I'm sure some of you are familiar with the concept of funnels. So whether it is the funnel,
Yeah.
whether it is what's happening in our own personal lives, what's happening in the communities that we're building, and it's always like a laugh a minute, and of course there's a lot of deep conversation. So I think keeping that in mind, especially for people who haven't come across you yet, or who haven't had the opportunity to interact with you in person or digitally, I'd love for you to share with them. It's like how, and I know there's, you know that the title of today's podcast, it's about being the multi-dimensional coach or multi-dimensional coaching. So uh, I'm sure people are curious to know, how did you get to this point of being, and of course I've coined the word multi-dimensional, but there is a reason for that, and I'm sure your story will bear truth to that. So yeah, I'd love to hear, like, how did you, like, what was your journey to get here?
So thank you, Rahul, for firstly coining it like that, and you know, making it so empowering to be multidimensional in a world where everyone tends to think that unless you're focused on just that one thing, unless you're, just doing that one thing, you're not really doing something important. I first uh, got comfortable with having multiple hats on me when I heard a TED talk, which was about being a multi potentialite. That's when
Mm,
I kind of
that's
embraced
it.
that, yes, I do have multiple interests and multiple talents that I would like to express and not have to, have to hide behind or, make it sound like I do only one thing. So I will say I have multiple interests, but pretty much in the same bucket. They're all in the creative field.
Mm,
I have been a media professional, a creative professional for over 20 years. And if I may be very happily dropping some names, I very early in my career, I got to work with Madras
right.
Rockies, which is Mani Ratnam's production house. I went on to be with Star TV. I was producing with them. I was a promo producer. Then I was a programming producer, and lots of other very senior um, stalwarts in the
Mm,
industry. And then um, what happened was I was always ambitious. I just did the entire thing of 10 years of my life,
yeah,
okay, in
yeah,
a
yeah.
sentence right now. And then I was also very, very excited about having my babies. So I had them, and I didn't realize that I would change emotionally as a person. And after I had my babies, I kind of took a break, not even realizing that that is what would happen to me. I took a break, and I wanted to basically own my own time. I needed flexible hours, but in the media space, in the creative space, you need to be out there. You need to go out there and shoot. You need to be present for, entire day script sessions. So all of that wasn't then possible for me because I really wanted to spend time with my children. So that's when I started to explore different aspects of what I always wanted to do. I went and studied yoga. I trained myself as a yoga trainer. I was creating abstract art, so on and so forth. I learned classical dance. All. I mean, I really put my heart out there in a way that I could do stuff in my own time and still kind of pursue my interests and do something constructive with that. After all of these things, when my children kind of grew up, I went back into the media, in the professional space. I went and directed ad films. I was a creative director for web series, and I still felt my children are not so big yet. I still want to be around them. So when I did my web series, when I was the creative director of the web series, I was like out for 6 months, right? You shoot outdoors, you're not really
Mm,
there. And I was
true.
like, I love the work, but once my children grow up, they're never going to come back to this size. So then I said, okay, what is it that I can do which will keep me excited and which will allow me to make
Mm,
my money, express myself creatively as well, and be with my
right.
children?
Mm,
I realized after a lot of actually,
The
what
yoga
do you say, a
trainer,
lot of
I was creating
chatter that I had to shut up on and get to work.
right.
I think it took me
Mm,
about 2 years, but then I finally launched my YouTube
what do you
channel.
say, a lot of
I started
chatter that I had to
creating
shut.
beauty content, and
mm,
my channel is called Joy Geeks One. I did
right.
that, and I was able to share my love for beauty products. I was creating content and being home, and money started
Right.
rolling in, which is something I didn't actually even know how that would happen. I didn't know
Mm,
how, but I knew that there was some meat to this entire social media game, and I had to figure it out. So I took my time. I had a lot of failures. I did a lot of stuff which I would say clearly didn't work, but I learned. I kept
mm,
moving on with what I did. And while I was doing that, I realized that I had come across, or I had figured out for myself how I could create content from home, make a mark for myself, actually connect with a lot of
mm,
people from home. Please know, I was a very ambitious,
Wow.
outgoing girl who had now needed to be home and do all the things I needed to do.
Right.
So since I had figured it out, I realized there must be a lot more women who are in the same situation like me, who may be very ambitious,
Mm.
very talented, wanting to make money, wanting to do stuff. So then I was wondering, what can I do? How can I share, share the knowledge I
Mm.
had? And I was definitely not going to the grave with it because I had worked
Mm.
really hard to get where I was, and
Right.
it took me a long time to, get there.
Mm.
So, and that is when I came across my mentor, Siddharth Rajsekar, who's my digital
Mm.
coach, who kind of
Mm.
taught me, our coach, who
Mm-hmm.
taught me how I could create a course, how I could do this. For a long time, I was wondering, really coaching, how can I even do this? How could
Right.
I, how is this, how am I going to teach video skills to
Right.
folks online? So that was
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
long period of overthinking and chatter, and
Right.
then shushing the chatter and doing the things and
Mm.
failing, doing all of those things. And finally, I
Right.
should say that it's been beautiful because my community is called Bindaas
Mm.
Divas, with
Right.
my entire aim to get women to become absolutely bindas in the way that they can
Right.
really own their own power
Mm.
and express either their message or talk about their
Mm.
product or talk about their service, and really crack how they could make videos from
Mm.
anywhere, anytime, from their
Right.
home, the most
Mm.
simple things, but strategically hit across the point and connect with the right audience. So I'm
Nice.
super excited to do all the things I'm doing alongside, because of my presence on YouTube. A lot of other opportunities opened up, which I can talk about in
Mm.
the due course of our conversation.
Nice. Nice. And I'm remembering something you said just before we went live. And
Mm-hmm.
if you were to kind of like flip it, let's say for somebody listening to this, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, how do I relate with Aparna's story? So
Mm-hmm.
what of the retrospect that you just shared, right? Like I used to be in a completely different world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, this world of coaching did not exist 20 years ago, right? And then there was like the 10-year journey, and then these last, somewhere I guess around
Yeah.
COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially today, because we're talking about people who are way past COVID, like 4-5 years later,
Mm-hmm.
um, 4 years later. How would you say this relates to them, or what can be useful to them?
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned
Yeah.
something about, video coach, and like on
Yeah.
on video, how do I teach, like,
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what comes to mind?
So I'll tell you what, how I can help it, how I can create this, share this in a
Mhm.
way that it's useful to people by telling them actually what is not useful to do.
Right.
If we can somehow even eliminate that bit, right? A
Right.
major chunk of your chatter goes away. So I'll tell you
Mm.
some of the key things that kept me back, and I know for a fact that a lot of not just women, even men, are held
Mm.
back from progressing in their life because
Right.
there's a big cloud over their head that
Mm.
says,
Mm.
log kya kahenge?
Right.
What will people say? People are afraid of, and exactly what I felt. I felt I'm going to make
Mm.
a joke out of myself. What are my colleagues going to say? What are my bosses going to say? And I am from a professional media space.
Right.
So I thought a lot that, oh, I'm stepping down from an ad film director. I'm becoming
Mm.
a home video creator. It's a step
Right.
down, and it is a step down technically, of course. So a
Sure.
lot of these things were in my mind, and I know for a fact that anybody watching this, there is some element of that which is taking away your own
Mm.
power, right? We end up giving a lot of our energy to what other people will say.
Mm.
Actually, other people honestly do not even care about what you're doing.
Mm.
Maybe it's a passing statement somebody may
Right.
make, but
Mm.
eventually, what was my truth? I needed to follow that. So I would suggest or request or tell all the viewers that whatever is your truth, if you stick to that, you will emerge victorious. So that was
Wow.
one. Log kya kahenge was a
Mm.
big hurdle for me that
Mm.
I wouldn't say is 100% gone. I still, of
Sure.
course, there will be moments of it coming up, and I have to catch myself and say that, okay, what is your truth? What is it that you need to do? It
Mm.
doesn't matter, you know, um, what you think other people may say.
Right.
Just go and do your stuff. That's one
Mm.
thing. The second thing that really worked for me and will work for anybody else watching,
Mm.
the mistake I made was I didn't have a growth mindset.
Mm.
What I mean by that is,
Mm.
I studied last when I was in college, or
Right.
later when I did my teacher's training for yoga. But
Right.
because I had less confidence in myself, I could not even imagine investing in courses and mentors and
Mm.
learning stuff. I thought कि नहीं नहीं पैसे वापस कैसे आएंगे? That was my first thought.
Correct.
कि how am I really going to make this? I saw a
Mm.
wonderful business coaching that somebody in the US was doing, and I was like,
Mm.
I think it was 50,000 or something. And I was like, no
Mm.
way. How can I invest so much? I don't know where. And
Right.
I mean, those were the thoughts I had then. Eventually, when I did start off small, just
Mm.
investing in just 5, 9,000 bucks, and I started
Mm.
learning, and I realized there was so much that I didn't know that
Correct.
I could get help with to move
Mm.
ahead.
Right.
When that kind of broke, and how also that broke is when I look back, I said, I buy a sari which is worth 10,000, which I wear just once in two
Right.
years. We go out for dinners, we just spend
Wow.
5,000 like this,
Yeah.
right?
True.
But when it came
True.
to my own growth, I started questioning it, and I started, doing all those things. The minute I moved past this,
Mm.
I started to grow. I
Wow.
started to empower myself with skills. I started to get in touch with the people who were enterprising and were wanting to grow like me. So that really
Mm.
made my journey, get better. So anybody here watching who feels that, no, you can figure it out by yourself. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but
Mm.
if we really had to figure it out, we would have by now. And
Correct.
there is no shame, or
True.
there is nothing that's making you less if you're going to go ahead and
Mm.
take help. You know,
Right.
uh, there are
Yeah.
a lot of wonderful coaches doing
Mm.
excellent work. And why I would say why wait? I would say why
Mm.
how do you say slow mo your growth in video context,
Nice
where
one.
you can even
Nice one.
fast, you can
Yeah.
speeden up your growth. That's what I felt. And I'll say
Mm.
today I've invested more than like 20 lakhs in my education,
Nice.
uh, because I really believed it, and because I could see that I was really evolving as a person. So that is
Mm.
the second thing I felt that really shifted for me. And I would say the third thing is, especially from video
Mm.
perspective, if you want to be a video creator, you
Mm.
need to switch your gear to become a
Mm.
creator. You have to move from being a consumer of content, and
Mm.
don't, let's not be ourselves saying that, oh, I'm
Right.
learning, or I'm just seeing other people's content for research and all
Right.
of that. There has
Mm.
to be a balance where you're
Right.
getting in the creator zone, whether it's ideation, whether it's
Mm.
practicing video skills, whether it's practicing editing skills, whether it's
Right.
understanding what strategically can you put out
Mm.
which will connect you to the right audience. So
Right.
the minute I shifted, and even today, I have to watch out for myself that I have to be a larger percentage of my day should be in the
Mm.
creator zone, and then a
Mm.
smaller chunk, of course, to consume content.
Right.
Because consumers are so many, creators are only so many. If you really
True.
want to be a creator,
Yeah.
switch your gear and consciously be in that space. These, I
Amazing.
think, are my top three things that
Beautiful.
another one I can say is, which would come in the space of lo kya kahenge. You have
Mm.
that because we are constantly comparing ourselves with
Mm.
other people, right? So, log kya kahenge, please get that
Mm.
out. No comparison. That's the first
Nice.
one. Second
Yeah.
thing is to have a growth mindset, invest in your learnings, invest in the right gears or whatever it takes, whatever field you may be in,
Mm.
which is going to give you your returns, which is going
Right.
to help you propel yourself forward. And the
Mm.
third thing is definitely, especially in the video space, I would say, get into the creator identity.
Right.
Uh, you know,
Nice.
yeah,
Wow. That's something that I will come back to
yeah.
later. I'm tempted to as they say in today's jargon, double click it. But I'll
Mm.
hold for a moment this thing about the identity, right?
Yeah,
And you know where I'm going with this, but
yeah.
you said something very, very powerful because as coaches, a lot of times the disconnect is when we think of ourselves a certain way,
Yeah.
and what is needed is a different version of us, and
Mm.
invariably it's that gap between this identity, which is something we've probably developed over many decades, and the one that
Mm.
we are actually looking toward, right? So I will definitely come back to that, all about the
Sure.
identity, and like remembering what you said at the start of this podcast, which is to to make this of value to people who are listening to it. So it's
Yeah.
not just something that we're doing because
Yeah.
coaches today do. To do a podcast today is not difficult.
Mm.
That's not the intention here. So uh, I will draw and I will ask questions
Yeah.
to you in this context. So this
Sure.
is, so as you said, this is where you've got to the point where today, you are doing multiple things. In a
Mm-hmm.
nutshell, so that again, just sort of like a recap, if you could share, like, what are these multi potentials that you're tapping into as on date? Because I know there is, and this, there is a sort of like a um, there's a backstory to this, but I'd love to
Mm.
for you to share with the audience, like, to as on date, like, what are these multi potentials that you're actually tapping into right now?
Thank you for asking me that question. I tend to kind of, if somebody asks me what do you do, I tend to not roll out everything because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel that maybe it may not be, it's a little longish. But
Mm.
as of now, I am creating beauty content on Joy
Mm-hmm.
Geeks One.
Mm-hmm.
I am a video coach on
Mm-hmm.
Bindaas Divas, which I think
Nice.
is very thrilling. Both of these are in the, so again, I say it's in the same bucket, but different versions of
Right.
it. I am an actor. I have featured in ad
Mm.
films.
Mm.
I've been, in fact, I've been blessed. These are opportunities I have received,
Nice.
which I just went along and said, okay, let's have fun and let's see what's happening. And I say, karte karte, I've crossed, I think, more than 10, 12 ads now with really good filmmakers. So
Mm.
I feel happy that one toe of mine is still there, in the professional
And these are
filmmaking
big brands
space.
as well, correct?
Yeah, those are big brands. Bonvita is my latest one.
Yeah.
Clinique, Dove, Horlicks, Titan Raga, to name a few.
So if someone
So
does
yeah,
say that you are, I don't mean to cut you off, but just to
sorry.
sort of
Yeah.
add to that,
Hmm.
I'm saying, if someone says that you're humble, uh, there's something there, right?
No,
Because
thank
I
you.
mean, you it's like somebody else would have, like, they'll like run down a list of, I've worked with so and so, I worked with so and so, but it's like that humility that you carry so easily and effortlessly. I mean, this is part of your brand, and I think it's important to to highlight that, to you,
Thank
that
you.
you wear it so easily, which is also part of what makes your brand your brand.
Yeah, thank you. I have to say, even when I did the ad films, even then there was this chatter that, oh
Mm,
no, how can I face the camera? I'm a director. I don't want people to get confused or take me lightly just because I'm facing the camera. And then a producer friend of mine had to kind of talk me
yeah.
into it and say, just go into one and see what happens.
Mm,
So honestly, when you're saying I'm being humble, I genuinely think it's like bonus blessings in my life.
yeah. Yeah.
Because I didn't ever look at myself and say that, oh, I want to be an actor or I want to be any of that.
Correct.
So I say it's a bonus blessing. Okay?
Mm,
But directing, I've, the direction is something I've always wanted to do since I
mm,
did my film schooling in Xavier's
mm,
25 years ago. So that I feel I have worked very diligently towards. In fact,
mm,
that's one area I can say. If somebody says, "What have you done for your longest time?" and you can say
mm.
that you've really invested a lot of time and effort, it's in the production and direction space.
Right.
That's been my largest, I think, yeah,
Mm,
20 years plus. Apart from
mm,
this, yes, I am a yoga teacher as well, which I don't actively do, but I have done that in the past. When remember that phase when I wanted to be home and I had not figured out YouTube,
mm,
I was teaching yoga and I loved it because I think that's when, honestly, I first felt that the work I'm doing
mm,
and I can see the transformation in front of me and the fulfillment that I got, that, oh my
mm,
God, just by sharing what I know. So I've been blessed with yoga since childhood. My mom was my first yoga teacher, and Hansaji I've been following from the Yoga Institute. So for me, it was very casual. Yoga lifestyle didn't seem like a big thing to achieve. It was always a part of my life. But when
mm,
I did the teacher's training, and I did that also with just the intention of deepening yoga in my life, but when my guru was giving me the certificate, he
mm.
said, go out there and teach. It's really needed.
Wow.
And I am a very devout student. Matlab, if my
Mm,
teacher has told me something, if my guru has told me something, I have to go and do it. That's the kind of person I am. So I said, oh God, now Shambhuji has asked me to do this. Now what do I
right.
do? And that's how it started. I was just teaching one girl just over the weekend. I said, I have just that 1 hour. Somebody who asked me to teach. I said, okay,
Mm,
let's do it. But you have to follow through what I'm asking you to do. She did that diligently. In 3 months,
mm,
she of course she lost a lot of weight, but she
mm,
was getting better sleep. She was feeling a lot more focus in life. She overall
mm,
things changed for her, and I felt like, oh my God, this is real work. Till
right.
that point I was only in the entertainment business,
Mm,
creating wonderful stuff. But that's the first time I realized the power of how do you say, being a medium to somebody's transformation.
nice. Nice.
So I did that, and then so I did
Mm,
quite a few yoga sessions, and I've conducted yoga camps in Shivananda
mm,
Ashram in Kerala,
mm.
and then YouTube happened, so in the beauty space, and then coaching happened, and then from coaching, when I met Rajiv Talreja, I met all of these wonderful coaches. I also came across NLP. I had
Mm,
heard so much about NLP, and of course, I have done Tony Robbins' UPW, Unleash the
mm,
Power Within, and I
nice.
thought it was very, very powerful.
Mm,
And I was wondering, what is it that he's doing? What modality is he using? What is happening? Because there's something he seems to know about
yeah.
people. There's something there. And then I realized he's using NLP techniques. Something.
Mm,
I said, what is this
mm,
NLP? I don't know. So I left it at that. But then it
mm,
kept coming up beech mein, and I was like, oh, one more thing. I don't want to learn. I'm not interested. Now let me just focus, what I'm
right.
doing. But I saw
Mm,
Rajiv when I did train the trainer with Bear Singer.
mm,
There was Rajiv standing in the corridor for hours, talking to so many coaches who had questions. And I saw him really address them so beautifully in a
mm,
way that, I mean, he was holding space for them. He was able to
mm.
really get past beyond what they were actually saying.
Correct.
And I was wondering, how is he even getting this? What's
Right.
giving him this? I giving him this power, giving him this understanding of,
Mm,
what can really help this person. So then
mm,
I went back. I had got his Game Changers program,
right.
and I had honestly
Mm,
not watched a lot of the program videos because I didn't have the time. But I went back, and there was a 2.5 hour video of Ashlesh Rao, his NLP coach.
mm,
So something in me, I was like, yeah, kuch to something Rajiv
correct.
holds on to, which is helping
Correct.
him coach better. So I went back. I saw Ashlesh's 2.5 hours video finally, which I had tried
Mm,
thrice before, but I didn't get past.
right.
So now I was like, Nini, ye to dekhna hai. I saw that he was talking about the neurological levels in that. I mean, the
Mm,
ones who are in NLP would know.
mm-hmm.
And I was so blown away by what, was being taught. And I
Mm,
said, no, that is the missing link. This
nice.
is something I have to crack. I have to get deeper into NLP. And I just
Mm,
want to understand what this is. So
mm,
thankfully for me, one thing is that I can explore without wanting definitive results. So I can say,
right.
okay, maybe I may fail, or I don't know, it may not take me anywhere. But
Mm,
if I don't try, how will I know?
correct.
If I don't explore, how will I know?
Correct.
So thankfully for me, just in 5 days from then, Ashlesh's program was starting off, which was a NLP practitioner program.
Mm,
And I jumped in, and I don't know what is the right word to use. I have been captivated by NLP and its power and
right.
its tools that made me feel so confident as a coach.
Yeah.
Because I remember Rajiv always telling me that you could be a conference coach, you could be doing
Mm,
a lot beyond videos also,
yeah.
in the space of life coaching and all of that. I said, you're
Mm,
saying that because I seem confident? He said, yes. I
mm,
said, but I don't know how to teach others to be confident.
right.
Right? I don't know how to tell somebody to feel this way or that way. But after I did NLP, now I'm like, I'm empowered. Now I know. I have the tools, I have the techniques to understand what
Right.
the other person is going through, and therefore break it down for them
Yeah.
and utilize NLP skills
Mm,
to empower them a lot more. So for me, I am feeling
yeah.
very, very blessed that now I have NLP, and video continues to be my tool to raise the confidence in women. But because of NLP,
Nice.
I'm able to really look past, what they're not saying also, and bring it out
Mm,
from them to kind of guide them and
mm,
mentor them. Yeah.
nice.
So these are the
So
things which is
no,
very
again,
exciting.
I'm just gonna say it because I know the background. Um, a lot of this was happening around the time when you had attended, or let me put it this way, when you were one of the contestants, correct?
Mm.
For something
Yeah.
which is hard for it didn't just fall in your lap. So maybe if you could just share a little bit about that. And that's where sort of like NLP is also connected into your journey. So
You're talking about super speaker.
yes.
Yeah. So yes, super speaker again. I was a part of super speaker one. Again, typically the chatter is on ki arey ab kya art karna hai. You know, in school you went for all
Right.
of these elocution competitions and
Mm,
all. Ab kya karna hai.
mm,
You know, karo,
mm.
focus raho, don't take away from it because you're launching your courses, you're doing all of those things.
Sure, sure.
And then I said to myself that यार चुप record करके भेजो यार, देखेंगे जो होगा,
Mm,
देखी
correct.
जाएगी, whatever
Mm,
happens. Um, so I got blessed that each of these rounds I kept clearing, and then I reached the
mm,
top 10 of Super Speaker,
mm,
which was a brilliant
mm,
experience because more
mm.
than me speaking, I think these barriers that got broken, right? कि इस
Yes.
अभी ये क्या करना है, अब you
Right.
know all of those things kind of broke, and you go, and after so many years, and of course COVID had also happened, so you've not really met too
Correct.
many people, and then you
Mm,
go out there, stand in front of those mentors, and you speak along
mm,
with other 9 wonderful contestants. That
mm,
experience itself, I think, was breaking boundaries, the boundaries that
mm,
we all set for ourselves.
mm.
I think that for me was the big win, apart from, of course, then, getting some feedback from the mentors
Mm,
and the love that one receives. I think um, I would not have had the opportunity
mm.
like that. But because of Super Speaker, I think I feel so blessed. I received so much love after that
Right.
for the story that was shared or whatever that was spoken.
Mm,
I think that was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. I've always gamified my life.
Mm,
And this was, in a way, one game I was playing when I was doing, I
mm.
mean, with my own self. Nobody else knows all of these things.
Right.
I'm just telling you all the secret of mine. So even when I did Super Speaker, and the first
Mm,
time the entry thing had come out, I said, no, 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 no. I can't do anything else. I just need to create my course. I need to launch it. I need to
right.
at least shoot it, and then whatever comes, you can do that. And
Mm,
thankfully, that entry date kept extending, and it was still there after I had shot my course material.
right.
So I said, अब course तो shoot कर लिया, तो अभी it's still going on.
Correct.
So now you've earned the right to go and
Yeah.
participate in something beyond what you had
Yeah.
kept
Yeah.
your focus on.
Mm.
So yeah, it was meant to be, I guess, that it happened that way.
So, what's fascinating is so far we've been talking about, like when you zoom out, it's like upward trajectory, right? There would be like little valleys, as they say, but generally
Yeah,
speaking,
yeah,
from the
yeah.
outside, it's like, I'm here
Yes.
and I'm
Oh,
like
from the outside, it's
reflecting
too.
back
It's
and
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
So this is like a perfect segue to actually, like as you reflect on some of those valleys, what would you say are maybe two, maybe three, that really not affected you, but affected you in a way where today you're glad that it happened then. Because of that, you've now become the person that you are. So simply put, it's like, a question is, what,
Hmm.
it's like, what are your three deepest failures? That's like the conventional way of asking it. But what I'm
Hmm.
asking you is, when you look back at these last maybe, 10 plus years,
Hmm.
or more, and you kind
Hmm.
of like track, like, what would be maybe these two or three moments that, and sort of like quote unquote be failures, that
Hmm.
help define who you are as a person today, as a coach today, maybe even as a mother today. And that it's not just your story. It's like your story is everybody else's
Mm.
story that is like you. So,
Mm. I think I've had too many failures, honestly.
mm, mm,
And I think, like somebody's put it so beautifully, failure is feedback.
mm,
And I loved it when I heard fail fast, fail forward. I mean, these are
mm,
all terms I learned in the last
yeah.
3 years.
Mm,
But I would say my first biggest, which seems like a failure, but that
mhm,
was just ignorance in a way.
mm,
Um, I don't have an older sister. I didn't really
mm,
have any reference point of what happens in life after you have a baby. I was just too excited to have a baby. And I
mm,
had a baby at 27.
mm,
But what my first biggest failure as a professional, I would say, was
mm,
not to be aware or to keep a plan
mm,
which keeps me in a safe space.
mm,
And what when I say in a safe space is I didn't know that after I had my baby, emotionally I would be this different person.
right.
I had no clue. It was a shocker for me
Mm,
that how am I wanting to not go to work? I
right.
started working at 17. The only thing I
Wow.
knew was get excited, go to work, come back late nights. And I've not been a party person ever. I still
Mm,
am not. But when it's an
mm,
edit all night, when it's a shoot all night, I'm
mm,
like all gung ho. I said, how does this person turn into this person who's just become, completely at home?
mm,
So I think my first failure, I say R&D nahi kiya tumne, Aparnaa Ganesh. You didn't find out
mm,
ki, what would happen. I said, so what? So many women go to work, So
right.
I thought, yeah, my thing would also be that, but I couldn't leave my
Mm,
kids and go. I just felt that nothing was as
mm,
important to me as my children back then. Even now,
right.
honestly, I
Mm,
think, like a friend of mine said, uh, it held very true for me a while ago. Now it's a little
mm,
changed. She said, I'm a full-time mother and a part-time everything else.
nice.
And I think all mothers will
Nice.
resonate with this because in your heart,
Mm,
whatever it is, your first घंटी बच्चों के लिए बजनी है.
mm,
And then
true.
everything needs to fall in place.
True.
Doesn't mean everything else is less important,
Mm,
but as a prime caregiver,
yeah.
naturally, that happens. So I think my
Mm,
first failure was not having a plan of action. कि भाई,
mm,
um, how do you manage flexible hours? How do you manage to keep your
mm,
creative output going? How do you manage to have your
mm,
financial independence? I didn't have any of those figured out, right?
mm,
So I keep telling my children, and I will tell all the young women watching right now,
mm,
or even the children watching, I feel because of that failure of mine, which I consider a
mm,
failure, it was more ignorance. I really wish and pray that all women, all girls,
mm, mm.
especially in our country, are tuned to having their own business before
Wow.
they get married and have children.
Wow.
I want to explain that a little. Can I do
Yeah.
that?
I was just going to ask
What
you.
I
Yeah.
mean is, it's very, very important. See, I'm not saying all women are going to be mothers, or maybe many
Sure.
of them today don't even want to be. But if you are somebody who is going to go the mother route, it's
Mm,
going to be so, so helpful for you to have
mm,
some work which gives you flexi hours, where you
right.
own your time and where you are able to do the work that you do without
Mm,
it hindering your family time or family life.
mm,
Because that becomes very important. And if you're, I've seen mothers who go to work who are constantly guilty. They're
mm,
guilty if they go to work, they're guilty if they sit at home. If they
right.
sit at home, they've lost out on their work and their progress and years of hard work and
Mm,
effort that
mm,
they put out. They miss out on their promotions. They miss out on, all of those things that were due to them. And it's so sad to see that as well, right?
mm,
So I realized that, yeah, if I sat at home after 5 years, I'm going to feel guilty. कि अरे काम पीछे छूट गया, which I did.
mm,
Definitely,
mm,
there was a phase where I was like, अरे यार, I could have been,
mm,
have done so many other things. And if I
mm,
had left, my children to go to work, I thought that would be worse. because I could not get their childhood back. So this was a conscious decision I took, that I can't get their childhood back, but I can start from scratch again and work. I will have my second innings. Koi baat nahi. It will be thoda zyada gada majuri, which I did. I still believe I'm in my second innings, because after you take a break and come back, the world has changed. They are not looking at you the same
Right.
way. So I think that is one thing I really want to request all parents, all family members. I really wish that in our education system somehow women are trained for business. वो भले 10 रोटी बना के भी घर से बेचे.
Correct. True.
You know, that you should
Very
be
true.
able to do something of your own, because we have seen enough families, we've seen enough women struggling just because they are financially
Yeah.
dependent, or they don't have a power
True.
to make their decisions. They are they're really struggling a lot, emotionally, physically, professionally. So I feel that uh, it would be really, really helpful if women get in that business zone. So I've told both my daughters. My daughters are now almost 18 and 15.
Right.
I have been telling them that, think about your shadi ka lehenga baad mein. Please think about your business suit. What are you going to really launch? What
Nice.
business are you going to set up? Because I don't know if you're going to get married or going to have children. But I really wish that you are on your own, so that
Correct.
if you have a child, you can call the shots and be
Right.
there, as per
True.
your most professions or most businesses can allow that. Certain things I know you cannot dictate your terms no matter what you do. So I feel, because of my experience, I'm saying this. I know a lot of women are very successfully managing both. I don't know how they do it. I definitely couldn't. I had to just stick with one and then do the other. Now also, even when they're teenagers, I'm happier being home, so I can be there for them when they come back from school, listen to their stories, be around with them for an hour and a half or so after they come back from school. And then we all go our own ways and,
Right.
meet again in the night. So your question was, what was my failure? I think this was my
No, it
big
was.
failure that I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
Right?
And just before
Yeah.
you even go beyond to another of, like I'm sure you have one or two more you want to share, but before you do that, you said something very, very powerful here. And I don't think this is discussed, enough. What you're essentially, this is my take from what you just shared, which is having a mindset that is focused on business, not a job,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
a quote unquote career, right?
Yeah.
Not a profession, but having a mindset which is able to ask the questions, because when you have the mindset, then you have the questions, right? Like you said, what business suit will you wear? Meaning, like, depending on what job
Yeah.
you're doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
how are you going to, dress yourself? How are you going to present
Yeah.
yourself?
Yeah.
And
Because
I don't
most
think
girls are growing up and social conditioning is kya lehenga pehenge,
exactly.
So I'm like, that needs to change.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
don't think there's enough conversations yet that are happening out there, especially when we talk about like parents and children. And I'd love to be wrong, but, um, this is something when we talk about mindset, it's so vital to have more and more conversations, because that's when we uncover our, whether you call it our biases, whether you call it our limiting beliefs about what is and what isn't possible. So thank you for bringing that up, because like I said, parents out there, or let's say women in their 20s, maybe even in their 30s, who are thinking about also having that other chapter of getting married and having kids, all of that. This is something to kind of already incept in their thinking, so that if that happens in 3 years, 5 years, even later, they are ready to have already have set up the business, and then
Yeah.
in that sense they are financially free, right? So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. And when I mentioned this, Rahul, to a cousin of mine a while ago,
Mm, mm,
she said, but Akka, not all women are business oriented now. Not everybody can
mm,
be a leader.
mm,
And I said, yeah, fair enough, which is why the ones who can need to do it more urgently and a lot
mm,
more and employ these other women. So we
mm.
understand the need for flexi hours and we
Yes,
can meet them
beautifully
midway,
said.
because, the head of Facebook, I'm
Mm,
forgetting, Lean In, Sheryl Sandberg. Okay.
ha,
Sheryl Sandberg. She said it
mm,
so beautifully in her book, which is called Lean In.
mm,
She said it's really important for women to be in leadership roles,
Nice.
Because most girls growing up do not have enough role models in women,
Correct.
right?
True.
Secondly,
True.
when a woman is a leader, she's able to actually see the pain points of what the staff is going through.
Mm.
For example, only when she got pregnant,
Mm.
she realized that the parking lot for pregnant women was very far off from the lift.
Mm.
And by the time she got there, she was
Mm.
exhausted. And then when she had to go
Right.
and do this massive presentation, it
Mm.
was crazy for her. So
Mm.
when she came, experienced that, because you know what? I think men are wonderful,
Mm.
and I think um, men really do care a lot for
Mm.
their women. But
Mhm.
just by the fact that they're not experiencing these things,
Yes.
they just may not get
Correct.
it,
Yeah.
right? So it
In the
takes a
truest
woman
sense, it's
to,
the
yeah.
empathy. Like when we talk
Mm,
about empathy in the real sense,
mm,
it's next to impossible to be able to truly empathize with somebody if you haven't
mm.
experienced it.
Yeah,
You can have a version of it
yeah.
or some sense of it, but like you
Mm,
said, Cheryl went through it, and that's
yeah.
what made her say, you know what, no, we need to have parking looked at differently. From a man's point of view, it would be very difficult
Mm,
unless they themselves have, which is at this point
mm,
now possible. And
mm.
the other thing is, of course, that it's very difficult to actually sense what they are feeling. So
Yeah,
that's so true.
yeah. When it comes to experience, right? I think that's the reason why, I mean, especially because of our social conditioning,
Mm.
which has constantly, see, especially in India,
Mm.
constantly girls are being brought up by saying, ये मत करो, वो मत करो, ऐसा मत बोलो, जोर से मत हंसो, ऐसे बैठो, ऐसे मत पहनो.
Mm.
So then women are constantly being told what to do. So when
Mm.
they grow up, they're constantly second guessing themselves.
Mm.
It's a proven, it's
True.
a
True.
research has proven that if you have,
Mm.
men and women in a conference room, and if a
Okay.
question is asked, a woman may know the answer 100%, but may
Mm.
still jhichko to
Mm.
raise her hand, but a man may
Right.
just go for it anyway, even if he
Mm.
knows it doesn't make shot dete kya jata hai,
Correct.
because boy has been raised like that na, tum jo bhi
Mm.
karo sahi hai.
Right.
So I'm not, I'm not blaming the men, but that is the fact.
Mm.
Now, I keep telling my divas in my community, my Bindaas
Mm.
divas, that doesn't mean we get into that victim mode कि अच्छा
Correct.
हमारे साथ ऐसे हुआ, हमको बचपन से दबा के रखा था या हमको कुछ बोलने नहीं दिया. No, at least we
Mm.
understand that okay, this is what happened, which is why my self-esteem is a little lesser,
Right.
or which is why I don't feel as confident. We can get
Mm.
into the action mode and say that okay, now what can I do? Now where can I go? Show me how to
Mm.
do this, or let me,
Mm.
own my own life and move
Mm.
ahead and march ahead. Which is why at this point, can I please share with you?
Of
This
course.
is Bindaas Divas. This is the
Mm-hmm.
logo.
Yeah.
Because it's a video coaching thing and it says breaking boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to show a woman fly
Mm.
with the play button. I mean, the colors are now different, but I feel that, especially after what Sheryl Sandberg said,
Mm.
it's really important. And after, also what my cousin had said,
Mm.
empowered women definitely empower a lot more women,
Right.
right? So it's really
Yeah.
important. I sometimes get some flack for some men ki, Arey, why have you called it Bindaas Divas? Because
Mm.
men want to learn video coaching. And I say, sure, and men are welcome. And I do have men in my community too. But it is
Mm.
focused and skewed on
Yeah.
for women, so
Mm.
that I can bridge that gap and kind of
Yeah.
and men learn too, of course, but
Of course. Mm.
it's committed to women.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, before
that was my first
it's
failure. It took so
exactly.
long.
So, so two ways to look at this. One is, of course,
Yeah,
you're welcome to share if there's anything like this
yeah.
or not, but where you see it as okay, it was a failure then, but today
Mm,
it's something that has kind of helped
mm,
frame who I am and what I do.
yeah.
Because I know, I mean, this is what people want to listen to, because it's like who we are today is not who we were 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? So we've been on
Yeah.
that journey, and that's why you get to be who you are today. So
Mm.
if there's something like this that you
Yeah,
feel,
yeah.
yeah,
There
like
is
this is another thing.
another big failure. I have plenty, वैसे. But the one that I can talk about is, see, like I told you, I taught yoga. I created abstract art. I also um, learned classical dance for, after having both my babies, all of that.
Mm.
But I'll tell you the one common mistake I found across whatever I was doing, which
Mm.
I realized much later, is that whatever we do, most of us are brought up in a way that we don't know how to talk about that work.
Yeah.
As an artist, in fact, I had a book which said, I want to be in the studio, something like that, which says that I just want to
Mm.
create art. I don't want to get into which gallery and how to sell it and all of that.
Right.
And I realized that that was a pattern I saw in all the efforts that I had taken and all the endeavors that I had jumped into. I didn't know how to share about my work. I didn't know how to promote my work. I didn't know how to, you are constantly being told from your childhood, you don't blow your own trumpet. You should not talk about your work. Somebody will experience your work and they should talk about your work. You should not talk about your work.
Right.
So, that's there even today. And see, that has happened because when we were growing up, firstly, we didn't have social media.
Correct.
Right? We had no choice but to have word of mouth publicity.
Correct.
And when I was growing up, and I'm a South Indian, so I have seen enough talented South Indians. And South Indians are so quiet about their work. I've seen so many talented people not reach their optimal success just because nobody knows about them enough.
Right.
And they will definitely not talk and say that, okay, I've written this poetry, can you read it? Or, writers, artists, so many of them. You
Correct.
need, see, I see that even today, and that's a very Adam ke zamane ka practice. Even our schools and colleges didn't teach us this. They just taught us to be really good at what we have learned. At whether you're a beautician, whether you're a dentist, whether you are an English teacher, you are just taught to be excellent at what you do. And we keep polishing our skills, which is what even I did.
Correct.
But I lost. I kept failing because the 50%, I believe, 50% of your work is you doing it really well. And 50% of it is you being able to share your work with people.
Right.
So many people say that, oh, I don't want to do marketing. I don't want to talk about my own work. I say, can we look at it as you sharing your work? So that the people who are also looking forward to, maybe reading your, your poetry or your write-up or looking at your art piece or learning from you, actually, you're doing a disservice by not reaching out to them, right?
Correct.
I often give this example, this little story. I say, what if in a little city there was this really good mochi, cobbler, really good at his work, but he was just sitting quietly doing his work, like all of us were taught कि अपना काम अच्छे से करो, बस बाकी भगवान पे छोड़ दो या बाकी जो भी होगा वो उसके कोने में बैठ के वो कर रहा है उसके छोटे से in his little shop. But if he didn't put a board outside saying shoe repairing done here,
correct,
there will be people walking right outside his store with a broken piece of chappal and not knowing where to go. So isn't that like a disservice?
Right.
When we kind of shift our thought like that, right? You will not look at it as, oh, you are blowing your trumpet or, you are saying so much about your work. No, this is a failure that I felt I had to really work on and say that, no, boss, I need to create a presence. I need to wave out to the world. I keep saying, let's wave out to the world and say, hello, this is where I am. Don't spam people. Don't be pushy. But we can always, just wave out and say that, hey, I'm an artist, or I'm a video creator or I'm a whatever that you do. And it will, help everybody. So I think that was a very big failure, that was a big point for me to fail very often. And I saw that as a pattern and I said, boss, up to I have absolutely no choice. I have to get over my fears and my shyness and my underconfidence to face camera or, to put my work out there. Can I be very honest? Even after I had Joy Geeks, for a very long time, I used to not post my videos on my Facebook page because Facebook page is where all your old friends are. Facebook page is where, my mentors and my, my bosses were, all of those diggaj from the film industry. So I was like, Arey, udhar mat dalo, they'll say, kya ghar pe videos bhi. For a long time, I didn't put it there. It's okay. And thankfully, and it's like this for everybody. You will connect with the world at large, who
Yeah.
are appreciative, who are taking you at face value from here, where you are
Mm.
at this point.
Mm.
So I think if all of us can kind of look at it as sharing your work, it will change the game.
Mm.
The failures will be about other things which
Right.
may not be in our control, but ये तो control में है boss, कर सकते
Mm.
हैं इसको और
Mm.
अच्छे से कर सकते हैं.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. I know that you've probably answered more than a handful of people's prayers, because they probably needed to hear this, right? We've all been there, where we were waiting for somebody to tell us ki,
Yeah.
share, like, let the world know,
Mm.
like you said,
Yeah.
wave, or
Yeah.
and obviously everybody's made differently. It's not necessary that it means you have to shout loudly, or
Exactly. Yeah.
feel disingenuous, or
Mm.
like in today's world they call it feel scammy. Not needed. But
Mm.
still,
Yeah.
there is that midpoint, which is feel good about waving, feel good about telling people that, hey, I'm here and I love
Yeah.
doing my work, and I'm here to help
Yeah.
you, and here to serve you, and here to create so that you can enjoy it, right? So
Mm.
that, I think, is a very, very powerful message. And especially since we are primarily talking, as you said, it's not about being a consumer anymore,
Mm.
for all of us. And I know we all could do with more money in our,
Mm.
whether it's in our pockets, whether it's in our bank balance, right? And seeing the world as a place where we can produce, right?
Mm.
That's a very powerful seed that you already kind of
Mm.
sowed for them. And I'm sure there will be people that will come back to you in not just a couple of months, but in a couple of years, and say, Aparna, I happened to watch this, or somebody sent it to me, and it just
Mm.
completely it shook me for a while, but then it changed my perspective, and today I understand why you said that. So
Mm.
very,
Yeah.
very powerfully said.
Thank you.
So yeah, we can go any number of ways from here, but like I said, you're welcome to share one more, because honestly, this is where that real power is,
Mm.
in reflection. So if there's another story or another failure, you can. Otherwise, of course, I do have a bank of questions to ask. So we can go any
Uh,
number of ways from here.
yeah, we could do that, or I could talk about what, again, it's not just what I have seen commonly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another, and I think most of these failures are all in the mindset level. I think everything
Mm.
that I shared is mindset
Mm-hmm.
related, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I feel that held me back
Mm-hmm.
for a while,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, कि मैं कैसे coach करूंगी, मुझे क्या, like,
Mm.
even though I had all the experience, I had enough experience to coach. I feel the imposter syndrome that most people have.
Right.
Ki, I used to be petrified of calling myself a video expert. I still don't. I
Right.
still call video coach. तो भी करा के I got comfortable with that. Yeah, okay, coach is good. I've worked my way to feel comfortable about this.
Correct.
But expert, I'm like, how can I call myself an expert? At
Right.
what point do you become an expert? Expert matlab seem like you're, पता नहीं, you are कि और कुछ है नहीं सीखने के लिए. For me, I'm always a learner,
Mm.
so I had all of those things going on. But what I understood is that how much ever you know,
Mm.
there's somebody else who
Yes.
does not know that much also.
Yeah.
Which means,
Mm.
even if you're a 12th grader student,
Mm.
you can teach people all the way from kindergarten to the 11th
Correct.
grade. You do not have
100%.
to be a PhD to teach maths to all of them.
Mm.
In fact, it's easier for them to relate to you,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah.
So when I kind of, explain that to myself, कि भाई तुझे जितना आता है, is it okay if I break in Hindi बीच
Right.
में?
Yes,
How much
please.
ever I know, can I share? So even as a video coach, right, we say that, oh, but millions नहीं है अभी, कैसे सिखा
Mm.
सकते हैं? I said, boss, तुम technically सिखा सकते हो. You figured out the system
Correct.
that you could, be a solo creator and shoot from home. At least I can
Yeah.
teach that. At least I
Mm.
can teach the strategies. And
Correct.
thankfully, when I did Joy Geeks, I had one YouTube's next up for beauty creator.
Mm.
which was a fantastic thing because YouTube themselves took me through,
Right.
the inner secrets and the strategies
Wow.
that make YouTube really tick. And,
Nice.
you can do much better with that. I said, you've learned all of these things. Please empower more people. So I feel
Mm,
that this imposter syndrome is very unnecessarily overrated in each person's
mm,
mind. I think we
mm,
need to break that. And again, that is again intertwined with log kya kahenge, because you feel that you're not good
mm,
enough and blah, blah, blah. So I'm saying, okay, you're not good only. Chalo. Let's take it. You're
mm,
not good. Whatever you know, please share.
mm, mm.
When I changed my mindset into that, I became a lot more confident. I said, हाँ ठीक है, मैं claim ही नहीं कर रही हूँ. I'm not
Mm,
claiming to help you become a, like a, I mean, I can claim what I know to teach. I can teach
correct.
you to get confident on videos, or I can, whatever that it is that I was doing.
Mm,
If I stick to that and give them 10x value, then I
mm,
felt very comfortable ki chalo,
nice.
now I can share this. So
Mm,
I feel that's one of the things that, because I'm seeing this in my community also, and I see this in
mm,
a lot of coaches. When I ask them, why are you not putting out videos, or why are you not,
right.
why is your course not launched yet, or
Yeah.
what? And somewhere, if I probe little deeper, वो आ ही जाता है कि यार मुझे लगता है कि ना I'm not certified,
Mm,
या मुझे लगता है कि I have not had so many years of experience or something, and it
correct.
all boils down to
Correct.
that you feel you're not good enough.
Yeah.
So I think that is, if some,
Mm,
anybody watching this, jump over that. Tell
mm.
yourself, जितना आता है उतना सिखाओ, बाकी छोड़ दो.
So, so I have a personal agenda. I'll say
Hmm.
it upfront. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
My personal agenda is, and this is the reason also why, is because I miss this for many, many years. I didn't pay
Hmm.
enough attention. Let me put it this way: I didn't pay enough
Hmm.
attention to it. So what I'm
Hmm.
talking about is the role and the power of having a community. Like
Hmm.
what you shared right now. Uh, if we try and figure it out by our own selves,
Hmm.
it'll take a very long time, because we will always
Hmm.
find a way to talk ourselves out of nahi nahi abhi nahi
Hmm.
baad mein, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
LKK, hashtag
Yeah.
LKK, as in log
Yeah.
kya kahenge, that will
Yeah.
just eat away like termites, right?
Hmm.
And years will pass without having
Hmm.
actually taken action. So I realized that just a couple of years ago, that it is so vital to have a community.
Hmm.
And what has been your experience, both being part of a community and
Hmm.
then, of course, creating your own community? Like what are some of the things that you have noticed that it's like
Hmm.
life before the knowing of community, and
Yeah.
now like post? Right? What's that like for you?
So, yeah, I wasn't a part of the community, any community before. And the only community I was building
Hmm.
before I got into an official community with my coach was what I was creating on Joy Geeks. Right? It was
Mm.
on YouTube. That's also not a structured community. It's on YouTube, right? So there was no structure there. But
Hmm.
that's the first time I realized what joy it is to receive love, or
Hmm.
receive comments and receive perspectives from random strangers,
Hmm.
but who are like-minded.
Hmm.
We may be giggling about some lipstick, or we may be giggling about, or
Correct.
getting excited about some new launch of something, but I was
Yeah.
like, I've connected to somebody else in
Correct.
the online social media space without knowing
Yep.
anything about them.
Hmm.
And that's the first time I realized, a lot of us, at least I, um, thought that if your friends and family are not supportive, kahani
Hmm.
khatam.
Correct. Yeah.
Community need not start from there if they are not supportive. I had very supportive family, but a couple of friends turned out,
Hmm.
a
Sure.
little off. But I
Hmm.
realized, oh, there's a bigger world out there.
Right.
That's so
Right.
exciting. But the real community, I will say, I experienced when I joined my mentors community,
Hmm.
ILM.
Hmm.
That's when I saw people of all kinds
Hmm.
in different stages, different levels, but with a common thread of really wanting to do it, really
Right.
wanting to crack it, and wanting to
Right.
grow from wherever you are, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I keep telling all my women in Bindaas Divas that when we see somebody else do really well, right,
Right.
the common, very easy thing to slip into is jealousy. कि, "अरे
Hmm.
यार, उसका हुआ." So
Correct.
I say, turn that, be conscious of that, and turn that into getting really inspired and say, अरे यार उसका हुआ मतलब मेरा भी होगा,
Correct.
उसका हुआ ना मेरा भी
Right.
होगा, आज नहीं
Nice.
तो कल होगा, पर होगा. So
Nice.
I felt that when you're in a community,
Mm.
you are constantly getting inspired by somebody else who's 10
Yeah.
steps ahead of you,
Yeah.
and you constantly have the fulfillment of inspiring somebody who may
Mm.
not even have started.
Mm.
So you're constantly, I think it's a wonderful space to be in, because
Yeah.
um I hate to use the word family in a
Mm-hmm.
loose term,
Mm-hmm.
but it is like that,
Yeah.
because you are looking out for some, and some are looking
Mm.
out for you, and you're constantly learning. And the
Yeah.
best thing is, when you are choosing a community of like-minded people,
Mm.
like they say, right, you are a sum total of the people you surround yourself with.
Correct.
So you're choosing, it's like you are, in
Mm.
video, in filmmaking terms, you're casting your people
Mm.
around you, and you're casting these
Yeah.
people कि मुझे इन लोगों के साथ ये
Correct.
उनका intention है. So then their routine or their lifestyle
Mm.
or their
Mm.
focus on making money or keeping themselves
Mm.
healthy or making a difference in the world,
Mm.
that keeps you, on track, because you're
Right.
just constantly talking about these things. We're not randomly talking about some things which do not matter to us or are not in
Right.
alignment with us, actually. So
Mm.
when we pick a community which uh, is empowering us, we pick
Mm.
that, you cast that,
Mm.
in we say isko cast karo.
Correct.
So it works really well. And when you are
Mm.
creating a community of your own, it's another beautiful space, because you've learned so much from your mentor,
Mm.
and then you want to add your own flavor when you create your own community. So
Mm.
especially amongst women, our big nara in our community is can.
Mm.
Okay. So
Nice.
I have lived in Malaysia for 4 years, and instead of saying
Mm.
yes, they say can. They say can. Can you get this for me? Can. So it kind of stayed with me. And I say
Right.
every time, you're trying to go shoot or trying to edit or you feel challenged or something, just say can.
Nice.
Just say can. So it's like a thing we all say in the
Mm.
community. So these are all of these, inside language that is very
Yeah.
empowering, that's kind of anchoring them to stronger beliefs for
Mm.
themselves, and
Mm.
feeling empowered.
Yeah.
And then again, if she can do it, I can do it too,
Mm. Nice.
right? And
Awesome.
even if somebody has made their first video, the way we celebrate,
Mm.
when we go live together in the community and somebody's made their first video, sometimes they'll be in tears. Oh, I
Mm.
never thought I could make a video. And we'll all be so excited that, yes, she made her first video. And then
Right.
there'll be somebody else who would have made their 100th video. I mean, if there's a
Mm.
challenge I've put out of making 100 videos in so much time,
Mm. Mm.
somebody else would have made 100 video, and we're all celebrating that in the same breath.
Right.
तो ये तो community में ही हो सकता है, right? It can't
Mm.
happen
Mm.
randomly.
True. True.
So I think it's beautiful to be a part of the community and to create one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And again, just to put this into context, I mean, like I said, I've been very fortunate to have started this journey like close to like 20 years ago, where I knew I wanted to be in the space of personal development. But the one thing
Yeah.
that I was not willing to, tap into and lean
Mm.
into was this,
Mm.
creating community.
Oh,
So
okay.
uh,
Mm.
the point being, you can start at any point, right?
Exactly.
And
Yes.
literally, it's not the journey that was; it's the journey that is and is going to. That
Mm.
is the, that's the fuel, that's the driving force. And
Mm.
knowing that, being in a community and creating a community actually creates this kind of a positive,
Yeah.
like a cascade in people's lives.
Yeah.
That's it's like, one of the reasons why I had, this is what, 2022 November, I had started, doing a video a day. I didn't know that because of
Mm.
that I'd be sitting here having this conversation with you,
Mm.
right? So I get that, when you talk about
Yeah.
creating videos, you don't know what kind of a impact it's going to have, whether it's in your own
Yeah.
personal life or even in the context of creating community. And today I have a community. I've got, like this as a platform where I want to showcase other people's lives, and uh, as a source of inspiration, because
Mm.
being a coach it's not an everyday job, and you're not an everyday person
Mm.
who's like, chalo paise banate hain, and therefore I'm,
Mm. Yeah.
going to be a coach. It's a much deeper, I call it a vocation. So it's like when you have that thing in your ear that says,
Mm.
you know do it, be it, like I want to be this.
Mm.
right? And
Yeah.
then of course it's its own journey where it takes the time that it does, but it's such a beautiful blessing to be able to do this, and of course have conversations like this.
Yeah.
um, so two things here. One is of course, what typically, like, how would people be able to connect with you, and like what typically, what kind of skills um, would they benefit by being in your community and learning from you? So what's that like?
That's a lot of fun to begin with, honestly. I think we have a lot of fun in the community. I mean, the name itself suggests that, right? Bindaas Divas.
Mm.
The entire approach is to, and I truly believe that everybody
Mm-hmm.
is already so beautifully bindas within.
Mm.
It just needs to be tapped into and be made to shine. And different
Mm.
people need different things sometimes to let it
Right.
shine. So, whether it's your mindset, whether it's you learning technical skills,
Mm.
whether you understanding, strategically what can bring your video to the forefront and actually connect to
Mm.
the right people, all
Mm.
of those things are covered. Um, and we do have, different, for the starters, there is memberships. We do this in the form of memberships
Mm.
so that you can start
Mm.
slow and easy and then know for a fact that yes, I would like to upgrade my video journey and make it more professional, more serious, and then they
Mm.
can move ahead. But a couple of
Right.
things that I definitely highlight very heavily in the community is what I feel people are not actually aware of. People think even
Mm.
today, even though YouTube is such a big
Mm.
thing today, a lot of people
Mm.
think YouTube to time pass hai. Yeah,
Mm.
Instagram to, you know, इससे क्या होता
Mm.
है, you can't really make money out of it.
Right.
A big part of my job in my community is to enable them to understand the different ways with
Mm.
which they can make money even under
Right.
500 subscribers. So
Wow.
I have community members. So
Mm.
if you have a service that you give,
Mm.
um, it does not matter that you should have 50,000 subscribers.
Right.
But if what you are sharing is
Mm.
really making you come across and presenting you like an expert in that one topic,
Mm.
then somebody who comes across your channel
Mm.
will want to engage with you in a professional space.
Right.
They're not coming to you for your views, for your
Mm.
popularity. They're resonating with your energy and therefore taking your service.
Nice.
So, the common mistake I feel a lot of people do is
Mm.
they wait for YouTube AdSense to give them money, which happens
Right.
at a much later time.
Correct.
Because I experienced myself that when I first started off my beauty content, I was invited to be the chat show host for the Yoga
Mm.
Institute, and I started making
Mm.
money from there, not from my
Mm.
YouTube. But I
Mm.
got that opportunity because of me putting
Correct.
myself out there on YouTube.
Correct.
Then there are other various opportunities, like you have an
Mm.
affiliate link, you create more leads, therefore you
Mm.
create more sales because
Mm.
you present yourself as an expert. And
Correct.
following the formula that
Mm.
I'm giving them,
Mm.
they are invited onto different platforms where they
Nice.
also get paid, where they also
Mm.
then continue to get more leads. So there are
Mm.
many ways with which you can
Correct.
make money using the
Mm.
power of videos.
Mm.
Of course, and there are brand collaborations and there are so many other things. But
Mm.
even at a very less number of followers, the
Mm.
potential for you to make money, even a school teacher, the amount of
Right.
time you will save if you have created that one video explaining something that every parent may want to know from you.
Nice. Mm.
I keep telling, I have a school principal also, I say, please don't have to repeat everything you keep saying to each parent who may come to meet you. You can have ready made
Correct.
videos. You will
Wow.
save your time. You'll reach out to a
Mm.
lot more people. The families can
Mm.
sit at home and watch on their own, and you will be amazed at how the
Mm.
opportunities come in.
Nice.
So I feel it's a very underrated aspect. I think videos are still being only thought of ki popular hona hai, ya I don't want to be
Mm.
popular, so I don't need to come on videos. No,
Right.
you're building digital assets.
Correct.
It's you really documenting your work. So I
Mm.
have I have a very close friend who makes beautiful raisin art tables and stuff like
Mm.
that. And I
Mm.
said, why are you not just shooting some of that and putting it out on your page?
Mm.
He's like, but I have enough of
Correct.
clients. I'm not able to service right now. What will I do shooting all of these
Mm.
and putting it out? And then I gave him the perspective.
Mm.
Look, right now I understand your hands are full. What if a
Mm.
year from now, when you've been documenting each piece of
Correct.
art that you've been creating, some
Mm.
international client comes through and wants to give this massive production to an Indian artist? Do you think
Right.
you stand to gain not just for yourself, but create employment opportunities for so many other people who you can employ?
Wow.
But that
Wow.
will happen because you have documented your work over the
Correct.
entire year.
Correct.
Psh, Batti jal gayi uski. He was like, oh my God, I never thought of it like this. So it's
Right.
not really just what you see, it's a lot beyond that. And that is what I constantly share with my Bindaas Divas community women.
Mm.
Ki seeing beyond the box. There is so much
Mm.
potential in videos. And the
Mm.
reason why videos are the top in the line of getting people's attention is
Mm.
because videos have two senses that are getting used,
Right.
right? It's your
Yeah.
auditory sense and your visual sense. So you can hold on to
Correct.
people's attention a lot
Mm.
more. You can, people end up watching the
Mm.
video
Mm.
more than they may just read or they may just listen to a podcast.
Correct.
So that's a huge benefit I do
Beautiful.
wouldn't want anybody to miss out on,
Mm. So, in that
right?
context, one is, of
Mm,
course, I have shared the link, and I will share the
mm,
link again at the end of
mm,
once this podcast is uploaded.
mm,
Even in the live, people will be able to see the link. But
mm,
having said that,
mm.
what, like, amongst those links, do you know which one specifically you would want to?
So,
Uh,
if somebody wants to, take a sneak peek into what the video coaching community is like, they can
mm,
start off with, seeing the first link, which is an invitation to a masterclass
nice.
where they can be with me for 2 hours, understand what is it that I'm really saying, because I am
Mm,
not just about shooting and editing. I really want to give a larger perspective of all the way from your mindset to you making money.
mm,
And shooting and editing
mm,
is one aspect of it. So I
mm,
cover that, at a broad level in the
mm,
masterclass. When they
mm,
get a sense of that and they resonate with what I'm saying, and they feel that yes, they want to learn more, they definitely want
mm,
to grow ahead, then those people go ahead and join the community. Then it's a paid membership, they join as a
right.
silver member, then their journey continues with me.
Nice.
So that is if they want to do video coaching.
Mm,
Then of course, if there's somebody who just wants to understand beauty related stuff, there
mm,
is Joy Geeks, a link. It's largely on YouTube and Instagram. That can be checked. I have a lot of women who have never used makeup, and I do
mm,
very basic makeup. Even if you see right now, I mean, I do very natural looking makeup. So a lot of
mm,
women, daily, people who like everyday makeup, they
mm,
resonate with my content. So they go
mm,
check it out and they are able to use it. And I don't use filters and all of those things in my
mm,
content. So, and I'm brown skin. So a lot of women who are little darker toned and stuff, they like
mm.
to watch to get references of what they
Nice.
can go and get after my review. Those are the two major things. Of course, then I'm an actor and my direction and all of those links are there. If that's relevant, one can check that out.
Awesome. Awesome. So, one very important, and like I said, the link close, so we have this thing called opening loops and closing loops,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Which is
mm,
very, um, which is very like commonplace when you talk about NLP or neuro
mm.
linguistic programming. And the
Yeah.
reason why I'm saying that now as a way also to close the loop is that
Mm,
when Aparna and I met, this was in 2022 of October of 2022.
mm,
Um, it was barely like about half an hour into the conversation.
mm.
I mean, of course, I was there to record a testimonial
Yeah, I
of
was
my
shooting him.
experience of
Yeah.
being in. So it was like the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Like on the other side of
Yeah.
the lens, so to speak. So I was sharing my experience of being in a community and why it's so important. Because
Mm,
when we met around that time, that finally that penny had dropped, and I was like, yeah, I get it. I mean, I know that this was that missing link.
mm,
Um, and then we got talking, and
mm,
Aparna immediately kind of, it's like all her, all the radars went on, and she's like, oh, you've done NLP. And of course, it was my, I should say, good fortune that, I had begun my journey like literally way back in 2007. And for me, it was like, wow, kindred spirit. Because I know for people who have experienced NLP, people who want to learn NLP, um, it's an amazing place to be in. It's an amazing tool. I've been very fortunate to now, see it as part of my lifestyle, right? So it's there in everything that I do. And
Yeah.
so when we got talking, we just didn't stop talking. And even today, we keep
Yeah.
talking about NLP on so many levels. So, of course, that's my experience, and I'm curious to know, what your experience. I know you hinted at it earlier, but this is like a segment specifically focusing on NLP, and because it is so you know deeply interlinked to you and your identity,
Mhm.
I'd love to hear your perspective on NLP or neuro linguistic programming.
So when I met you, Rahul, I was probably 6 months or lesser into NLP,
Hmm.
and I was learning it from scratch
Hmm.
from a wonderful, wonderful NLP coach, Ashlesh Rao.
Hmm.
And I was completely taken in.
Hmm.
Um, how do you say? I
The
was
word you said was
extremely
fida.
excited. Fida. Yeah, I am full fida on what NLP empowers you with, right?
Yeah.
But
Mm,
unfortunately, wherever I used to go, pudak kick, pata hai, NLP, most people like, what is NLP?
right.
Most people would, generally have that. And I was like, it is so beautiful. It is
Mm,
so uh, um, path breaking, so
mm,
many ways. And so many people don't even know about it. That was very
mm,
disheartening for me, honestly, because here I was, laddu pod rahe mere ki acha, acha, aise moments ho rahe. And a lot of people I met didn't know.
mm,
When I
mm,
met you, and you seem to be like fully on into NLP like crazy. I literally remember I jumped out of the sofa and came and hugged you like, oh my god, you know it. I was so excited, like, you're an NLP coach. Thank you so much. And then we sat down and then we kind of spoke for a long time.
mm.
But I'll tell you, um, NLP has refined or has made me even more raw. It's so contrasting
Wow.
what I'm saying.
Wow.
Has allowed me to be more raw, to
Mm,
go deeper within me, and go more raw in my communication with the world.
wow.
When I say with the world, it starts
Mm,
firstly from my home.
mm,
Uh, See, typically, if I have to explain about NLP, it's about your thought patterns,
mm,
right? It's about the communication you make with yourself, with the world. And the first thing I did was to start off with my children, with my husband,
mm,
and of course, constantly, working
mm,
at a very deep level within myself.
mm, mm,
And when I say empowering, I know empowering is a probably a very vague word. Let me explain that a
mm,
little more. The way NLP has worked with one's belief systems, that things that you're sitting with unknowingly,
mm,
the kind of things that opened up for me, I think was shocking, honestly.
mm,
I used to keep, as an example, I used to keep saying to my coach that I
mm,
feel so exhausted all the time. I feel like I'm doing
mm,
so much, but I don't think I'm getting anywhere.
mm,
I'm working so hard, but I'm so exhausted.
mm,
And when he did the belief system with me, he worked on the beliefs.
mm.
It came up for me that I was sitting with something somebody told me years ago when I
Right.
took a break, remember, to be with my kids. I got a lot
Mm,
of flack
mm.
because, you're
Yeah.
this ambitious girl who's suddenly sitting at home. So somebody very close to me told me,
Mm,
what happened to that financially independent girl? Are you going to sit at home and be dependent on your husband? And,
mm,
a lot of things were told, which is very unpleasant to me.
mm,
And I was still sitting with that unknowingly and still trying to somehow prove that
mm,
I had my kids. I had fun with my kids also, and now I'm going to
mm,
come back to my work also. So I'm
mm,
constantly trying to play the catch up game.
mm,
And that is what kept me so exhausted all the time because no matter what
mm.
I did, it didn't seem enough.
Right.
So this is just one very, very
Mhm,
little example, but it kind of opened up a whole new world for me.
mm.
And that is what NLP kind of does. It kind of allows you to understand what is your thought pattern, where is this really
Mm,
coming from, something that somebody told you in your childhood, or something that you're holding on to, which is not allowing you to really, all these boundaries that we've created
mm,
unknowingly, is not allowing you to move ahead. So
mm,
recreating your map, being neuro clean, these are all things that I
mm,
learned, apart from all of those other beautiful things which I don't think
mm,
everybody would understand. But how do you anchor yourself to some positive
mm,
state to move ahead, and so many other things which
mm.
also allows for me to use when I'm talking to my children, and they don't
Nice.
even sometimes know that I'm actually using NLP
Right.
techniques. But
Yeah.
it opens up a whole new world for them. I get more hugs and kisses, of course, because they are feeling so happy. um, and I really think that NLP is something that I wish I had got when I was a
Mm,
child, like I got
mm.
blessed by yoga. So I
Oh,
feel that wo
wow.
thoda gap hai.
Wow.
I know NLP is pretty new, it's probably just 50
Mm,
years old, but I really wish कि ऐसा कुछ हो जाए जिससे I should also do something about it, that the world
mm,
of NLP is more easily
mm.
relatable, more
Yeah.
easily digestible, more
Yeah.
easily in the practice state for a lot more people,
Mm, mm.
because that is what uh, is needed.
Nice. Nice.
So,
So well
and
put.
then I, of course, I went on with Ashlesh to do my
Mm,
personal practitioner. Then I did my
mm,
master practitioner. Then I did my coach excellence, and I did advanced excellence coach. And now when I do one-on-one sessions with
mm,
people to do personal power coaching, I call it
mm,
tap in, because it
mm,
allows you to tap it from within you.
mm, mm,
I feel blessed
mm.
to, again, like I said, to watch the transformations, to
Yeah.
be a part of somebody else's
Yeah.
journey,
Yeah.
because I think people have suffered enough,
Yeah.
and people are suffering,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of traumatic cases that one has, situations one has gone through, even
Mm.
what may not seem to be traumatic
True.
to our eyes, but
Mm.
somebody's experience, like for
Correct.
simple thing, a girl who's short in the class, it's traumatic for her to be the shortest in class,
Yeah.
and you may be sitting with that feeling all your life, not
Mm.
knowing how to really move ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful, and I feel
Mm.
very blessed to be in that space of
Right.
having learned from the best
Mm.
to take it forward with them. Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, thank you for sharing your story because uh, that's also one of the reasons why what created this podcast, right? One was, of course, the reason why coaches, like when they have community, that it can truly be transformative, not only in their own lives but in the lives of others. The other aspect was, NLP. I mean, personally, in my case, it was NLP that eventually led me to my Brahmastra, which is hypnosis. And,
Mm.
NLP
Yeah.
is sort of like the rib of NLP came from hypnosis, right?
Mm.
Sort of to use the biblical uh,
Mm.
reference here. But this is really why I also make it a point to, to reach out to people who are at a certain point on their journey and who've seen life and who have been able to kind of reframe it in a way that it is
Mm.
of value to other people. So that's in fact the reason why, like I said, it's important that people hear your story and how their lives can change, right? And one last thing, of course, is I've also made it a point to now make that community available. I've In fact, the link will be there. It's called the iHypnosys coaching community. So it's a Telegram group to get started, and there's a
Mm.
lot more. It's like if you've done NLP, it's like all the questions that you had but were afraid to ask, this is that place.
Mm.
Or if you're curious about NLP and hypnosis,
Mm.
this is that place. But that besides, I'm saying I truly believe that there's a reason why you experienced NLP at the time in your life when you did. And I
Yeah.
can say this with truthfulness that I've lived it for these last 16, 17 years now. And I know that, when I hear you say it, I know there's truth
Mm.
in it. And I'm really glad to hear how it has, truly in a deep way, it has impacted your life and the lives of people in your family, and obviously your community
Community. Yeah.
that gets it even more. So
Yeah.
yeah, I am so glad that this happened. We did this pod, like I said. When we met first, I had no idea we'd be here. Uh,
Yes.
but it's played out so beautifully, and this is just the beginning. Like they say, picture to abhi baki hai.
Mm.
So there's, and I'm just saying this out loud. It's like a declaration into the universe that, especially when it comes to coaching, when it
Mm.
comes to healing, these are things that for people like us, where we are the pioneers, especially in the context of it being in India, because people are still waking up to the idea of
Yes.
having a personal coach,
Mm.
having a community where you can learn with a coach. And the beautiful part is there are more and more people coming into this. So there's enough for each of us to be able to
Yes.
connect with, to serve, to
Yeah.
be able to hold that space so that transformation happens for them. So yeah, as you can tell, I really feel this. And um, being able to spend this time like this with you is truly a blessing. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to sort of, this is the free form part. So if there's
Yes.
anything more that you'd love to share, and of course I'm reading some of
Um,
the comments. So
okay.
while you're just kind of like,
Mm.
there's somebody called Suvrata Gharge who
She's a
says,
Bindaas
Aparnaa
diva.
Ganesh,
Yeah.
you're very clear in communication with yourself, and hence with Bindaas divas like me. There's
Lovely.
Anita earlier who had said, that's true. Like-minded people in a healthy community is a blessing for life. And of course, Krishnaveni was, tracking this from quite a while, this pod, and she says, awesome, inspiring, Aparna ma'am. So these are some of the comments.
Awesome. Sorry.
Let me see. Oh, that
Yeah.
I was wondering
Krishnaveni is
this.
also.
I was looking at my
Yeah.
tabs and I was like,
Yeah. No.
initially I hadn't
It was
muted
my
them.
bad.
No, that's
Yeah.
totally fine. I mean,
Krishnaveni is
that's the
also a Bindaas diva. She's my
beautiful,
diamond member, and I love
beautiful.
to see how beautifully they are progressing.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to share, Rahul. These are some of
Mhm.
the comments. She's my diamond member, and
I
what is
had the
happening?
same feedback earlier.
Okay, sorry.
I had one or two tabs that had popped up, so it's totally fine. Go ahead.
Um, um, what I want to share is I am so blessed to have you in my life. Um, I don't know what one has to say. I mean, one can say friend,
Hmm.
but I think it's a lot more than that. I think I find it very beautiful that we have that space where we are able to hold for each
Hmm.
other, where we are able to bounce off ideas, not
Yeah.
just at a commercial or work level, not just at a professional level, but even really throwing out whatever's coming up.
Yeah.
To be able to just share it and say that
Hmm.
I know so many times I've told you, I can only tell you this, Rahul. This is
Hmm.
what I'm feeling, this is what happened, and da 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 da, da, and I know you're there to just kind of understand and hold space and ask those questions that will take me in another direction. And I feel really happy because at first I used to think that, okay, I have a buddy, in
Right.
the NLP space, and then it
Yeah.
moved to being really deeper, closer friends.
Hmm.
And then now I don't know what to call it, but it's a very close relationship, which I really, really, how do you say, hold on to, protect, or hold dearly to me.
Hmm.
And this podcast has been beautiful because I think it's a lot of fun talking to you
Hmm.
always. And the one thing I definitely want to tell everybody listening is that yes, NLP is super powerful, and I also want everybody to know you can shoot anytime, anywhere as a solo video creator. You do not need to wait for your husband, your wife, your children, anybody to hold the camera and da 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 da. Da. It is possible for you to shoot it just with your phone. So I feel that a lot of people are held back because of all these things. And at the most, kya hoga? You will shoot something, you will fail at it. Well, you can always learn and do it better, right? One of the biggest things what NLP taught me was, and I use a lot of the NLP techniques, right, in the video coaching space as well. Uh, There is just so much
Mm.
that we can do that we are not allowing ourselves to do
Yeah.
because of these boundaries and beliefs that are
Mm.
deep rooted within us.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very happy to break all of those boundaries and, kind of co-partner with my divas to
Mm.
empower them to shine. I
Nice.
love to actually, one of the biggest things about being a coach is that you get to watch people shine.
Yeah. True.
I used
So
to
true.
watch random award shows earlier, not
Mm.
even knowing ki kaun hai kya hai, but just when they have that little shine in their eye
Yeah.
when they're holding the award,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Ye maza aa
Yeah.
raha hai yaar dekh ke." So I get to see that on a daily basis with all
Yeah.
my members and anybody else also who I interact with on social media. So I think that has really been
Mm.
one of the cherry on the cake for me, Rahul.
Nice.
And of course, I
Nice.
get to meet all of, being a coach. I think, especially coming from the film industry, the big
Mm.
shift for me happened was that I get to meet all of you, and all of the other coaches who genuinely want to make a difference.
Yeah.
If you even
Yeah.
call if I call any coach friend of mine, I know they will do their best to help me out of whatever
Mm.
situation I am in, because
Mm.
that's what you're living for. You want to
Yeah.
help somebody.
Yeah.
So I think that's
True.
incredible, and thank you for having me on this podcast to be, how do you say, be a part of your page where you've so committedly been creating content
Yeah.
regularly,
Yeah.
serving so many people with all of your thoughts. And I've heard a voice, a YouTube, what is that called? An affirmation piece you made, or
Right. An audio.
what was
It's
that?
like, so I call it
It's
the
a,
iHypnosis uh, trance meditation or hypnosis
yeah,
meditation.
yes.
iHypnosis, hypnosis meditation. So,
I really hope you wish, add that in the link below. I would really
oh,
want
that's a great
everybody to
idea.
listen to it,
It's a great idea.
because it really took me into another world.
Mm.
And
And
the
if I
work
may
that
say
Rahul has
so,
been, yeah,
uh, I I just have to say this because
yeah,
this is me saying thank you to you. Even in a branding context, I'm literally
yeah,
like on live TV.
yeah,
I'm rebranding it the iHypnosis meditation. So I will make that adjustment in the because it's already up. The video is
yeah,
already up. So I'll make
yeah,
that
yeah.
adjustment and I will definitely add that in the show notes. So yeah, you were
Lovely.
saying so.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, I was saying that I wish all of you watching this, whether you're watching live or watching the recording of this, please ensure you go through that, because what you hear of Rahul delivering in that is not just a man sharing some affirmation or something. It's years of Rahul's work, with his voice,
Wow.
with his energy, with his intentions, everything being put so beautifully in that one audio piece that I heard. It took me to another dimension. It really
Wow.
allowed me to kind of imagine another world. And I really wish and pray, Rahul, that you make many, many more like this. May you be one of India's toppest known, who makes India proud internationally as well in this space of really creating transformations. Because I know for a fact you've got everything in you to get there. And I'm
Wow.
so happy to be a part of this journey with you in some way or the other.
Many ways. I have to say this. I hadn't, obviously, none of this is rehearsed. We've just been literally, in the flow of it. And um, hearing you say it like this is kind of like, and that's why there are parallels. For years, I kept putting off doing these recordings. Just like you were saying, oh, should I put my video up? What will people think? Right? Or, oh, I don't know. Uh, like one part is I don't know enough. One part is the certificate, like literally those three things that you
Mm,
talked about, right? And for years, I kept putting it off. I remember more than a decade ago, I was like, oh, yeah, can be on YouTube, but this is not there, but that is not there, but
mm,
no, hard drive space, whatever. There's always
mm,
excuses, right? And just
mm.
hearing you say it like this about the what you had as an experience,
Yeah.
unprompted, right?
Yes.
To me, it just reminds me that we all have so much to give with in the most effortless way. It just takes, deciding that okay, I'm going to do it. That's it. That's all that it takes. And then, you know, we will anyway travel to wherever we are meant to travel. That's destiny. That's our path. So yeah, thank you for revivifying that, for deepening that belief that I found not too long ago. So
Yes.
yeah.
And I have to
um
mention before we end, Rahul, that that audio piece is not just me saying was fantastic. Okay, चलो मैं
mm,
bias होगी, मेरा दोस्त है या मुझे NLP का कुछ समझ में आता है. Keep that aside. My husband, who at that point had no clue about NLP, who had not spoken much to you, I made him listen to it, and
mm,
he had the exact same experience.
oh.
So please, anybody watching, it's not just because Rahul is a friend. It is a piece, and it is a piece worth listening to. And please overload his comment section with saying we want more, so that he does more of it, and that we can sit and say ki "Arey, maza aa gaya." Our lives will get elevated by his work. So all we got to do is push him and demand from him more, and we will definitely, all of us will do
Yeah,
it together.
beautiful. Thank you for that. I again, like I said, when we do these things, we do this with heart. We
Hmm.
do this without the intention of getting something back. Like this for me is that, um, this is more than a payoff for me. Like I didn't know this is where our conversation would go, but here we are. And in the words of, it's already done, right? Like you said it, it's already done. So thank you. And it's been an absolute, it's been a fun ride, right? Fun was one of our themes for today.
Yes.
So it's been fun, listening, sharing, prompting. And I know that people have got a lot more out of this, more than we had even intended. So Subrata says already waiting for it. So so yeah, I will say this, and I'm sure the audience do write in the comments, both here, of course, while it's live, and when it's up on YouTube as a podcast. Do mention that you want Aparna to come back and do a part two, because I truly believe there's a lot more to dive into and to share, to expand on, which I know will help you, each of you, in your coaching journey. So uh, it's I can't thank you enough. I mean, it's been an absolute joy.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you for having me on your show and having this wonderful conversation with me.
Yeah.
And
So
thank you to
thank you.
everybody listening at this
Yeah.
point. We
Yeah.
would love to hear from you in the comments. What were your top things that really resonated with you? I would love to know what
Nice.
really mattered to you or what made a difference. And I'm sure you will continue watching Rahul's weekly podcasts. It's happening around the same time on these two platforms. So follow him for that, and
Thank you.
you're bound to receive a lot more value regularly. Thanks,
Thank
Rahul.
you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And as we sign off, two things, of course. These podcasts happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So keep tuning in. Of course, I will promote them uh, in, sort of like keep layering up as we go, week on week, learning as we go. And yeah, if there's any way in which either of us can help you on your coaching journey, especially, just reach out, either here or just message us on Facebook. I know we're also available on YouTube, Insta as well. So there are enough places to reach out. So, just reach out. That's why we're here. That's why we do what we do, from heart, with heart. And look forward to seeing you all. Uh, so thank you all once again. And I will see you in the next episode of the iHypnosis coaching journeys.
Thank you.
And so, for those of you who are watching this later as a podcast, thank you for listening in, and do share your comments. Your maybe your top 3 big learnings or big ahas that you got from listening to Aparna's journey. And I look forward to seeing you in many more of these podcasts that happen every single week. With that, thank you, and God bless. See you in the next one. And of course, as always, remember to live with purpose.